Just some thoughts I've been having recently about freedom. Freedom isn't necessarily given to you on a silver plate as soon as you're born. In fact, because freedom, by freedom, what I mean is like negative rights. And it's very naive to assume that a government, even in a so-called liberal democracy, will just not grant you these rights, but just not infringe on them. Basically, saying give you freedom doesn't really make sense, because the whole point in negative rights is they're not given to you by other people; they're just not infringed by other people. Positive rights are of course different. There you rely on other people to give you them. Well, if you believe in positive rights at all, that is. Positive rights are things like welfare, healthcare, other people wearing a mask for you, I guess you could sort of say is one. It's very extreme. I'd say I'd at least say it's far more extreme than like social safety nets. But a lot of people kind of go along with this narrative that so long as you don't infringe on other people's negative rights, the government won't infringe on your negative rights. And that's it. That's I've realised that's a false narrative. The reality is that the government will infringe on your negative rights whenever it deems convenient. We've already seen that with the Conservative government, right, in the UK, and the Democratic Party, and to a lesser extent the Republican Party in America, and in pretty much every country at the moment, sadly. Even Sweden to a very small extent, right? They had a small restriction on gatherings and stuff for a while. The point I'm trying to make is that freedom, in the sense of negative rights, which I think that's what most people generally consider freedom. I think that's a pretty universal definition of people who actually think about it. Freedom, you often have to fight for it yourself. It's not guaranteed. People knew that it's not guaranteed, universally. Like places like China, North Korea, most communist states, and a lot of just authoritarian states generally. There's sort of been this consensus that that's guaranteed in the Western democracies were an exception to that, and they're clearly not an exception. People like to think they are, but they're not. If you're under any illusions that you live in a so-called free country, which I think is fair to define as a country that has a state that that has a minimal interference in your negative rights, that's simply not the case. This whole idea that people say, oh, it's a free country. It's not. It's really not. And that just goes to show really that you have to fight for your freedom in a sense. You can't rely on the state to guarantee you a certain level of negative rights. That's not going to happen at the moment. So that's why it's important. You need to exercise peaceful civil disobedience. Don't wear your muzzle. Meet up with 9 people like Jeremy Corbyn did, because apparently it's okay to do so retroactively. And I'm not encouraging you to get arrested. I'm not inciting breaking the law per se. I'm just because it's funny, the government's actually left a lot of loopholes in it, which I don't know why. Maybe it's to kind of try and keep people like me a bit less angry, but so with Jeremy Corbyn and his gathering of more than 6, since it was reported retroactively, he's not going to get charged with anything. So basically that means that's ruled that it's perfectly legal, as long as you have universalism, of course, which I think that's still very emphasised upon by the public and stuff, to have universalism, a rule of law, the same rules for everyone, at least in the public eye. And so if someone would get arrested retroactively for having more than 6 people at their house, that would cause outrage. That wouldn't be acceptable. Even now, with people embracing authoritarianism, that would be proper outrage. So you're perfect. So I think you're basically fine to have large gatherings, as long as the police don't see it when it's happening. or like, you know, you planning it. So, you know, you can be careful about that, because yeah, they can't do anything if it's already happened. It's basically been ruled. And with face masks, I've said it loads, you say you're exempt, that's all you need to do. If you're challenged at all, that violates the 2010 Equalities Act still. And if you know, and even if a cop asks you, you're not required to provide medical evidence, you know, like written evidence from a doctor or whatever. In some cases, since it's like subjective with things like causing you severe distress, there is no possible way to get written evidence of that anyway. So yeah, with a cop, I believe as it currently stands, if this at all, you just need to give a reason why you're exempt. Say, it causes me anxiety, causes me severe distress, you've got it. So there are ways that you can be free without getting arrested, because, you know, a lot of people don't want to get to that point yet. I don't really want to be put in a jail just yet. You know, like, I don't want to incriminate myself, you know, by making this video. But, yeah, there are ways to not break the law per se, but actually, you know, in a sense, exercise with civil disobedience. You know, you're being a bit of a pain in the ass, I guess, to the authorities, but they'd fucking deserve it. You know, supermarkets who expect you to wear a face mask and they're gonna like say, "Oh, weren't you wearing one? You know, show me evidence or whatever." They probably deserve to get fucking sued, because they're well aware of the law. Or they certainly should be, for large supermarket chains and stuff. Yeah, they should assume everyone's exempt. You should assume everyone's exempt. You should assume you yourself are. You should identify as exempt. Sorry. Yeah, and yeah, gatherings. You know, it's perfectly fine. I've been to loads of gatherings, more than 6 people. Sorry. One of them was far more than 6 people. And people were even exchanging saliva there. Sadly, I was not one of them, but nonetheless, I was there. And yeah, nothing's done about it. They can't do anything about it because they've ruled that retroactively, you know, people can't be charged for having gatherings. You know, the exception is if the police come over to your house and stuff. You know, then it's a bit of a different story. But again, you know, because these are all sort of this grey area whether any of this is even law at all. It's very unlikely you're going to get fined £10,000 for it. Certainly not if Jeremy Corbyn isn't right now, because even if there's not that retroactive factor, you know, even if it was a present, you know, the police were there while it was happening, there's still going to be a huge outcry about Jeremy Corbyn not getting charged for it. Yeah, same with Stanley Johnson on the face masks. So there are ways that you can have civil disobedience and you will not get arrested, you will not get fined. I'm not incriminating myself by telling you this. This is simply the way the legislation currently is. Yeah, and so you have a duty to it, and if you don't exercise, you know, your negative rights, then do you really deserve them? Because, yeah, freedom isn't just given to you on a silver plate, it's earned. Cheers, guys.